Hello guys, my name is Kazeem Quadri, and in this tutorial we'll be talking about HTML basics, and we'll just be going over what HTML is and how to write simple codes in HTML. And in the coming tutorials we'll dive deeper into what HTML is. Okay, first of all I'll be using Visual Studio Code as an editor for this tutorial, and also I'll be using Brave browser as my browser for this tutorial. Okay, now I'll be opening up my VS Code. So I just want to open a new window, and I'll make a separate tutorial on how to set up a computer like mine. And let me open my Brave browser. So I already tabbed what I use most on my computer down here, but I can also search for it here. And let me use Microsoft way of searching. So I click on Brave and the browser should pop up. Okay, both of them are already open tab by tab, but default they should open like this. So to make them like that, I will just have to drag my VS Code to the left, and I'm going to be using Microsoft split screen here. So it's asking me for what I want to be on the right hand side, so I can just choose my Brave browser, and that's fixed. So I would always recommend this browser to everyone out there because it has so many cool features. But that we're not talking about browsers today, we're talking about HTML. So let's go into it. So first of all, what is HTML? In my previous tutorial, which I will be recommending at the end of the video, or putting a link in the description below, we spoke about HTML and how it combines to creating a website. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and I would just want to write that. Okay, so we have Hypertext Markup Language, and what this does, it simply means it handles the structural part of the website. So that's what the markup language, hypertext markup language simply means. It's the language that handles the structural part of the website, and it can be used for some other cool stuff like games, but not like advanced games that we play these days. So I have the V3 schools open here already, and I'll be using it a lot during our tutorials. And first of all, if you go over to here in the HTML introduction, you will find HTML is a markup language for describing web documents, web pages, and it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. A markup language is a set of markup tags. HTML documents are described by HTML tags. Each HTML tag describes different document content. So I think we don't need to read a lot about that. We can just scroll down here, and this is where we would really talk more on. Now, we find that the syntax we have here is the tag name and tag name also here. So we have the less than and tag name less than, and we have the greater than. We have the contents in the middle, and we have another tag name. But what's the difference between the first one and the second one? It's simply the forward slash. So what I mean is, on your keyboard you can just hold shift and less and your comma, shift and comma. So we have the tag here, and we close that, and we open. We have our content here. I open comma, shift and comma. We hold our forward slash, and we can write our tag again, and we hold shift and period. So this is just a simple syntax of how HTML is. So let's just go deep into writing code, so we shouldn't talk too much for that. Now, to start any HTML document, you are advised to always save first, because most editors don't know that you're writing HTML until you start writing HTML. So it's better you just save first. So what I'll do is I'll just delete everything here, and to save, since I'm using VS Code, I can just hold Ctrl and S, and I want to save it in a specific folder so I can always find all my HTML documents. So I can go to my desktop, And in my desktop, I would find tutorial. So I will want to put this in tutorial, and I want to create a new folder here. So I can just click on new folder, and in my new folder, I will be calling it HTML, or let me just call it, yeah, HTML. And inside here, now I want to save the file here, and to do that, I want to ensure that I'm saving the file with a name that I always remember. So I'll just make this index, and this is where it gets interesting. For whenever you want to save any HTML file, the file extension really matters. So you have to ensure that you save the file extension as HTML, that's .html, or you save it as .html, but in this case we'll be using HTML. There's no difference between both of them, but I always prefer to use HTML. So you click on save, and you notice something changed down here. So before it was plain text, now it is HTML. So the editor understands I'm writing HTML code. Now, whenever you're writing any HTML code, you would have to make the browser understand you're writing HTML code, which we have already done originally by saving it as HTML. But there are some other syntax we have to follow. So the first one we should do is to write the first tag, we should all know is less than, and we call it doc type HTML. So we have doc type HTML, and so this is just as simple as it goes. Document type is HTML. There's no bothering ourselves about that. And the first tag we should all know is the HTML tag, which signifies to the browser that whatever is going to be inside of this tag, that is the content of this tag, is going to be HTML code. So the next thing we have to do is to know, now for every language there's always a structure. For a simpler understanding, if we put our understanding of how letters are being written, for every letter there's always the address. We have the address, we have the body, we have the salutation and the likes. So the same thing applies for HTML. So in HTML we have the head and we have the body. So the first thing we need to know is the head. So for the head, we have the head tag is written as head, no difference. So I like to indent my code, so I'll have to make it on the second line. So we have the head tag, but before we move on to the body, for us to be able to see the effect of the head tag, I would write another tag, which is the title tag. So we have the title. So this is going to be the title of our website. So in this case, I would want to make the title of our website just YouTube. Let's just use YouTube for now, and we save. Now to view this website that I created in our browser, I would locate my file. So I already have, I saved it in a desktop in a folder called tutorial, and in tutorial I have HTML. So I don't want to open this with Chrome, so let me just open my Brave browser so I can always drive and open here, or I can always say open with and select Brave. It depends on how best you prefer. So but most of the time I always just prefer to drag if the browser is already open, to save a bit of time. So now if we notice, we just have a blank page here, different from this page has a lot of content in it, but here we just have a blank page. So how do we know what we just did? If we look up here, we find YouTube being displayed here. So if we check other advanced sites, we will find that the title of the site is written up here. So that means that it is being placed in the title tag of our HTML document. So it's the same thing as this. So introduction to HTML is in the title tag of this particular page. So that's how it works. So now let's move on to the next part of our website, which is the body. And the body tag is being written like this. Now in the body, this is where most of the content of our website is being placed. And for example, the first tag I would like us to really put my attention to is the P tag, which is also known as the paragraph tag. And I just want simple text in it. So I will always use, for Visual Studio Code, there's something called Emit, and it's a way for me to have snippets of code or autocomplete for my codes. So in this case, we have something called lorem ipsum. You must have seen it online. It's just dummy text. So we have lorem ipsum. So I just want 40 text to be there 40 different words to be there. So I can say lorem 40 and I click on tab. So you see automatically I have 40 different dummy text here. It doesn't mean anything, so it's just dummy text. But I'll be using this during the tutorial to explain to us how HTML works. So if I save this and I come back here and I refresh, we would find our document rightly opened here and the same text that is here. So first of all, congratulations, we have written our first HTML code and we can see how it looks. Now the next part, before we dive deep into other tags in HTML, there's a specific tag that we all need to familiarize ourselves with, and it's the comment tag. So why do we need to have comment tags? Now comment tags doesn't just help only we the developers, it helps the people reading our code. So imagine if you are written 1,000 lines of code, so this is just 9 lines. Imagine you are written 1,000 lines of code and you can't remember what exactly you have an issue or a bug to fix, and you can't remember exactly what you wrote in a certain part, I mean what that code was written for. Your comments will save you the time and stress of trying to figure that out. So in this case, how are comments written in HTML? So we have less than, we have the exclamation mark, and we just put 2 dash, and I already have autocomplete on my editor working, so it's completed it. So this is the other part. So this tag is not being opened or closed. So normally in HTML, I always say HTML as a sandwich like language, whereby for everything you open you close. So in a sandwich, when you're making a sandwich, you would have a bread that is open and you put all the content, which is your meat, your lettuce and the likes, and you have another bread which covers it. So for the p tag open here, we have another p tag that closes it, so the content is just written here. So but for our comment, so want to write this is just a comment. Okay, now another beautiful thing about comments is they don't reflect in the part where you view the code. So if I refresh here, I would not find the comments being displayed here. It's only when you read the code. So this helps me writing the code. It doesn't do any good to the user, but it helps you, the developer, writing the code or whatever you do. So the next tag we'll be talking about is the bold tag. So we want to format this text that is right here. So to format this text, I want to make some changes to it. So the first tag we'll be discussing is the bold tag. So I just want to add world to this. So I will say B tag, and I close my B tag, and I have world. Let's just put world there and refresh. Now let's make space here so rightly see where it started from. So if I refresh, I'll have Lauren Epsilon dollar, and we have world here. The world here is bold than everything here. So with just this B tag, we can ensure that this world is bold. So in other cases, in case you want to make something reflect more to other people or catch people's attention, you can use this. And there's some other tags that can help us do that. So we have strong tag, which is another lovely tag I like to use. It also works similar to the bold tag, but in some cases you can use the strong tag instead of the B tag. So in future references, we'll be discussing on how to better use each of them. And you see the same thing that works on the D works on the world. So let's use another tag called the emphasis tag. Now the emphasis tag simply just makes the text italicized, but in some scenario it would give a different change to the text if you add some certain CSS to it in some cases. So we notice that the D here is italicized, so it's more emphasis given to the D. So that's what this tag does. And we also have the italic tag itself, which we'll be using here. So I can just use I tag, and I can have my text, and I just close my I tag and save, and I can check it out here. So if you notice, the same thing that happens here happens here. they're similar, but they're not exactly the same, if you would ask me. And we have the underline tag. So the underline tag, let's assume I want a text there to underline, so we just use the U. That's how to write underline. So you just say this text is underline. So come here and notice that the text there is underlined because I use the underline tag. Now we have the small tag, which makes text smaller. So what I'll do here is to make this text here, the next text that comes in here, small. So I'll do small. I do Dorem. I think that was what was there. So I save and refresh. So if you notice, the Dorem here becomes smaller. And for those of us that love to work with mathematics and want to make something cool, let's open a new P tag and try something out. So there's a tag called the sub and sub. So the superscript and subscript. So in mathematics, if we have a scenario whereby we want to write a mathematical problem, so let's just say we have 1 plus 2 multiplied by the square of 3. So there's no way I can do this. I think the answer to this would be 18 thereabouts. So there's no way. How would I make this 2 superscript? Because this is just 32. So I want to make this 2 superscript. So how I will do that is by using the superscript tags, which is SUP, and put 2 there. And voila, 2 becomes a superscript of 3. So the same thing works for subscript. So let's open another P tag, and let's make 5 base 10. So I just make sub and I say 10, and voila, we have 5 base 10. So the same thing. So if you look at our code, there's no much difference between all of them. So I will just like to give some space between my code so it doesn't confuse us all. And also we have the strike through or delete tag. So let's open a new P tag, and we have, let's say my name is Kazeem, and then put a comma. I love to code. So if I come back here, I'll see that I want to make a strike through on this code. So what I'll do is, for easy practice, I can just delete this code and say del code, save, and when I come back here, you see a strike through on my code. So that's what the tag is for. So before we wrap up for now over the basics of HTML, there's still one more tag we should be discussing on. So now we can use our comments rightly. So I should have done this at the beginning of my code, but I forgot. So we have a comment here. So I want to just signify that this is superscript. So I say superscript. So whenever I come back here, I always remember what I did here, even though I don't remember what the code is. So I don't have to always check what this code is, blah blah blah. So I say subscript, and I can have my H tag here. So I want to make heading tags. So the next part we'll be talking about is heading tags. So the heading tags are tags that in some cases make the heading, yeah, and some people, and it's believed that it helps to boost search engine optimization of the website. So there are 6 heading tags. So the first one we'll discuss is H1. I say this is a heading tag. So I think that text is too long, but I just manage it. So you notice that this text is bigger than every other text because it signifies that it's the heading of the website. So we can use heading. So they go smaller as they increment. So that's H1 is the biggest, H2 is smaller than H1, heading 2, and the same thing we have for heading 3 down to heading 6. Okay, let me check it out, and let's just write heading 6. Now you see heading 6 is smaller than heading 1, so they're both smaller as you use them. So, and in the coming tutorials we'll be talking about other parts of HTML like attributes, image, link tags, and tables. And you can give a like button if you really like the video, and I really love a subscribe. And also you can comment down for any issues you have, or if you have any question you want to put to me, I'll definitely reply all my comments and answer every one of them. I don't have so many followers for now, so if you have any issues just let me know. And also thank you, have a nice day.